So you were involved with the Bengali Housing Action Group. Can you just tell me a bit about how that was set up?
It was set up out of a group of people who were in an anti-racist vigilante movement. Young boys gathered around us when we had the big meeting. When we had the big meeting to say anti-racist attacks or racist attacks have to stop, and the way to do it is to guard our communities ourselves. So to see that people who are marauding down the street, come with crowbars and stones and whatever else, they get dealt with. There were also National Front hatred sheets being sold at the end of Brick Lane on market days. These Bengali boys didn't want to stand for that. So they went to them and told them to go away. And if they didn't go away, they beat them up, the National Front salespeople.
So there were a
few incidents.
Set up?
It was 76, I think. Yeah.
And did the organization have a building of its own?
No. They used to meet in the community center behind the mosque on Brick Lane, on, what's it called? It begins with F, the street.
Fournier Street.
Yeah, Fournier Street, I think. Yeah. So there was a meeting, community association building there, and I think Tasdeq Ahmad had procured it in some sense. So there were always meetings there. Procured it in some sense. So there were always meetings there.
Can you describe your role or involvement in the organization?
I began as an activist or writer, agitator from Race Today and the magazine, which was based in Brixton. And then myself and a few others would come down here to the East End, and we would assist in the organization of, first of all, the vigilante committees. And then from that we heard that the main problem, we discussed it, wrote about it, the main problem was housing. That's how we'd come into the association with the Bangladeshi community. And the person who was really instrumental was Terence Fitzpatrick, because he used to be a squatter in his own house. That's how he got his house. And he said that this is one of the ways of making grassroots politics of squatting people and then forcing the council to make them legal, which is what they did. And Terry was actually the mover and shaker. He was a 24-hour worker. Yeah. The rest of us were, shall we say, the elders of the community. And we were asked at the time, even though I wasn't much of an elder at the time, we were always asked, what's the next move? When are we going to do it? How are we going to, join up and get on with it? So that was the way it worked.
So apart from Terry and you, do you remember other people?
Mala Sen was very instrumental, right? Rahim Baksh was extremely instrumental. A gentleman called Gedu, right, who now owns a restaurant in Brick Lane. Gedu, Rahim, there was a fellow who was a rogue. He's dead now. He used to live in a caravan. But he'd be to jail and come out of jail, all sorts of things. Chalu fellow. About 5 or 6 young men.
Can you describe some of the work that the organization undertook?
Squatting houses, repairing them, seeing that they were fit for the families, and then holding meetings of the tenants, our squatters, to see what they wanted done. So we'd say Tuesday evening, everybody has to meet in so-and-so's house. So the elders of the families would come together and they would say, look, the roofs are still leaking. Usually it was something that they wanted. Then we'd say, well, we want you to turn up at a demonstration outside Bethnal Green. And then we threaten them. We said, anybody doesn't turn up, we throw them out of their house. So
how many people attended these meetings?
About 20, 25. right?
They were squatting around all over East End.
East End. And we would call the meetings only in that housing block, right? So Old Montague Street, we wouldn't call the meeting in Varden Street. We wouldn't ask those people to come over here, or Pelham Buildings to come over there. Pelham Buildings, the entire courtyards sort of belonged to us. So we used to stroll about there like Maharajas.
Can you tell me about some of the cases that you took on?
In court?
In court?
We never went to court for we never actually went to court for a Bangladeshi issue. The only time that we did take on cases was when the police had one of the vigilantes for assault. Say we beat up a National Front person, they would say, I was just walking down the street and these fellows came and beat me up. So then there were court cases of that sort for assault and battery.
Do you remember any significant campaigns, meetings that the organization arranged?
Yes. The first huge meeting was at the Naz Cinema. I've talked about it quite a lot. That was one big meeting. Another very significant meeting was when the women came out to demonstrate outside Bethnal Green Town Hall. And they said, what are you demonstrating for? And we handed in our list of demands. We demand housing. We demand that we be housed in substantial majorities so that they are safe houses. We demand that the distribution of people all over the borough in isolation be stopped. Yeah, all sorts of demands that you put as a political party. So we gave that in to the council and came out again with all these people sitting outside.
Do you think that your activities, campaigns and meetings helped the Bengali community a lot?
We weren't social workers, right? We were not doing it for social work. We were doing it for political advancement. Of course, political and social advancement, because if you win a political battle, you win something material. Otherwise, what's the point? Or you make an ideological point. But we actually did win materially the right of these